There is a very profound and compelling reason why you felt the internal nudge to listen to this message right now. It is no coincidence that your intuition guided you to this very moment, because deep within your own heart, you already carry the truth of what has been unfolding. You know beyond a shadow of a doubt that something quite unusual and significant occurred in your atmosphere yesterday. There was a palpable movement in the air, a sudden sense of heaviness, or perhaps a sharp sting of apprehension that simply did not align with whatever you were doing at that exact moment. Maybe you were navigating the mundane details of your daily routine, perhaps sharing a laugh with a friend or colleague, or simply attempting to find some peace and rest, when suddenly an intense feeling of emptiness struck your chest without any warning or external trigger. I want to reassure you that you are not losing your mind, and you are certainly not imagining things. This sudden, intrusive anxiety does not belong to your own energy field. Instead, it is the direct echo of a deep emotional crisis that someone else is experiencing from a distance. That person is struggling immensely, and their internal state is being severely impacted by their connection to you. And when I tell you that they are doing poorly, I do not mean that they are simply experiencing a fleeting moment of nostalgia or missing you in a casual way. I mean that their very emotional foundation has been shaken to its core. Throughout the day yesterday, this person felt your presence more intensely and more urgently than at any point since the two of you first began to distance yourselves from one another. It is of crucial importance for your own clarity that you understand how these bonds connecting two souls operate, as they are not restricted by kilometers, geographic distance, or even social media blocks. Human connection, especially the kind that permeates the spirit, functions much like a system of communicating vessels. When one side becomes overwhelmed and overflows, the other side inevitably feels the shifting pressure. What you felt yesterday, that strange restlessness that caused you to constantly reach for your phone in anticipation of a message that did not arrive, or that abrupt, jarring awakening at dawn with their name resting on the tip of your tongue, was the definitive confirmation that their internal defense mechanisms have finally collapsed. This person has dedicated an enormous amount of time and effort to constructing a formidable wall of indifference, desperately trying to convince themselves that they could move forward without your presence and that choosing to forget you was a viable and healthy option. But yesterday, that wall finally came crashing down. All the accumulated energy, every unspoken word, and every emotion they have tried to suppress and hide away finally exploded within their inner reality. The shockwave of that internal collapse was so potent that you were able to perceive it on a physical level. Grasping this reality is fundamental for your own peace of mind, because it is highly probable that your logical mind attempted to find rational, mundane explanations for your discomfort. Perhaps you told yourself it was just stress, or physical fatigue, or simply your own persistent obsession playing tricks on your nervous system. However, your soul possesses a unique ability to distinguish between your own personal sadness and the sadness that is being projected from an external source. What you experienced yesterday was a silent, desperate cry for help. This person, in the quiet of their own solitude, finally confronted the stark and harsh reality of your absence, and the weight of that realization proved to be absolutely unbearable. They are realizing, perhaps for the first time with such clarity, that no distraction is effective enough, and that all the noise and chaos of the world cannot successfully silence the echoing voice of your memory. They are currently wandering through a period of immense darkness, a true dark night of the soul, where the only light they can recognize or hope for is the one you have provided to their existence. And while their pride or their deep-seated fears may still prevent them from running toward you at this exact second, their energy has already made that journey. Their energetic self searched for you desperately throughout the day yesterday, which is precisely why you felt that strange sensation of being watched or heard, someone calling out to you in an empty room. But to truly comprehend why this profound emotional breakdown happened to them yesterday and not last week or even last month, you must first understand the urgent message that their soul was silently crying out to you and which you received without the need for spoken words. There is a hidden mechanism operating behind the scenes of this event, an invisible gear that shifted and explains why the dynamic on the energetic plane suddenly changed so drastically. Have you found yourself wondering why your mind suddenly cannot stop conjuring their image with such startling intensity, almost as if this person were standing right there behind you? The answer is found in what transpired last night in their room and in the unique energetic dynamic that was released over the course of the last 24 hours. If you feel ready to fully integrate this lesson into your life, then pause for a moment and speak the words aloud or write them down. I received the message. Yesterday was not just another ordinary day on the calendar of their emotional life. From an energetic standpoint, there was a peak, a point of total saturation. I want you to imagine that this person has been filling a glass with every single memory of you that they try to push aside, with every lingering impulse to call you that they force themselves to stop, and with every tear they swallow in order to maintain a facade of strength. Yesterday, that glass finally reached its limit and overflowed. What happened is that the resistance this person was maintaining against the connection finally broke through pure, unadulterated exhaustion. Maintaining an emotional lie requires an immense, draining amount of energy. Pretending that someone whom your soul recognizes as vital does not matter to you is perhaps the most exhausting work that a human being can undertake. Yesterday, this person simply could no longer handle the weight of that mask. It is very likely that yesterday you experienced a moment of internal change yourself. Perhaps for a brief instant, you finally decided to let go of the need for control. It is possible that you were so deeply occupied with your own life and your own affairs that for a few hours you stopped projecting that constant energy of waiting and anxiety toward them. In the mysterious world of energy, when you stop pushing or waiting with desperation, you create a vacuum, and nature has a way of reacting to that void. When you withdrew your constant attention, even if it was only for a short time, this person felt the terrifying abyss of your true absence. As long as you are present and projecting an energy of attachment, this person feels secure. They feel as though they have you safely tucked away in their energetic pocket. That false sense of security allows them to remain in their comfort zone and continue the game of indifference. In addition to that tightness in their chest, there is another phenomenon that will surely be familiar to you because you may have experienced it yourself. The restlessness of the early morning hours and waking up at those strange, repetitive times on the clock. It is clear that this person is simply not sleeping well. They might manage to drift off eventually out of pure exhaustion, but their sleep remains shallow, restless, and full of constant interruptions. It is highly likely that yesterday they woke up abruptly somewhere between 3 and 4 in the morning with an inexplicable, sharp sense of alertness, almost as if someone had called their name out loud or suddenly flipped on a light in their dark room. In that deep silence of the night, when all the ego's defense mechanisms are at their lowest point, their mind has nowhere to hide and runs directly to you. They simply cannot avoid it. They toss and turn in their bed, desperately searching for a comfortable position that never comes. But their pillow seems to be filled with heavy, racing thoughts about the past, the present, and everything that could have been. This sudden, jarring awakening is their body's natural response to the vibration you are currently emitting, or perhaps even a reaction to the strange vacuum you left behind when you finally withdrew your own energy from them. Another physical symptom that reveals their current state is a persistent, unusual fatigue, a kind of bone-deep exhaustion that does not disappear no matter how many hours of sleep or rest they manage to get. This person feels heavy, as if simply walking across a room or completing the most basic daily tasks requires double the amount of effort they usually have. This exhaustion is directly caused by the massive energy drain resulting from their intense internal struggle. Just imagine the sheer amount of vital resources that are consumed when a person tries to lie to themselves all day long, pretending that an essential, soul-deep connection no longer matters to them. This constant battle between a mind that says no and a heart that says yes slowly depletes their reserves of vitality. That is exactly why this person felt so drained yesterday and continues to feel that way today, moving through their life on a kind of automatic pilot. The people around them might notice that their gaze has become dim or extinguished, or that they completely lack their usual spark or enthusiasm. This is because their primary energy source, which was always potentiated by your presence, now feels distant and unreachable. It is also very common for changes in appetite to occur during this state. The stomach, which is often considered the second emotional brain, tends to close down entirely when faced with the anxiety of a major separation. This person might feel a persistent, uncomfortable knot in their stomach that prevents them from eating a normal meal. On the other hand, they might experience frantic anxiety attacks that they try to calm down by mindlessly eating foods without ever really tasting them. Yesterday, food likely had absolutely no flavor for this person. Everything seemed bland and unappealing to them, because the sweetness of life, in their deep unconscious perception, is inextricably connected to you. When the spirit is not nourished by the love and the deep connection it craves, the physical body begins to lose interest in physical nourishment. It is a primitive, raw form of grief that their organism is processing, even if their conscious mind refuses to fully admit it. Even this person's senses are constantly searching for you, creating vivid illusions along the way. It is entirely possible that yesterday they thought they saw your silhouette passing by among the people on the street, or that they heard a voice that sounded identical to yours in the middle of a crowded room. Their sense of smell, which is the sense most strongly linked to emotional memory, is constantly playing tricks on them. Suddenly, a light breeze carrying a specific fragrance reaches them and reminds them of you, of your perfume, or simply of the essence of who you are. In places where it is completely impossible for you to actually be, their brain is so desperate to find patterns that confirm your proximity that it begins to project your image into their physical reality. Yesterday, this person abruptly turned their head on more than one occasion, thinking that you were standing right there, and when they finally realized you were not, that feeling of emptiness multiplied. Their body searches for you just as water searches for the riverbed. And this biological, instinctive search is the most irrefutable proof that although their lips remain silent, their very cells are screaming for you. The most fascinating thing about this is that none of it is magic. It is a fundamental law of the mind and nature that a great visionary discovered decades ago, and it perfectly explains your current situation. Understanding why their body reacts this way to your invisible energy will give you the peace of mind to stop doubting your intuition, to finally understand deeply why this person broke down yesterday without having you in front of them, and why you were able to feel it with such crystal clarity. To find these answers, we must turn to the wisdom of one of the greatest explorers of the human mind, Carl Jung. Although he lived many years ago, this thinker understood a profound truth that modern spirituality confirms every single day, that we are not fundamentally separate. Jung taught us that our minds are not isolated islands floating in the middle of an empty ocean, but rather that they are part of an immense interconnected network, a great ocean of shared consciousness where everything is linked beneath the surface. He called this the collective unconscious. To better visualize it today, we can think of it as a gigantic invisible web, much like a wireless network that covers the entire universe and to which we are all permanently connected. Imagine that you and this person are two large trees planted many kilometers apart. On the surface, it appears that you have nothing to do with each other. Each tree has its own trunk, its own branches, and its own designated space. However, deep underground, their roots reach out, touch, and intertwine in the darkness. Through these hidden roots, nutrients, information, and urgent warning signals are constantly being transmitted. When one of those trees suffers a heavy impact or an abrupt change in its environment, the other tree immediately receives the signal through this system of shared roots. Carl Jung explained that this underground connection is the exact reason why we can feel someone without seeing them, and why significant events often occur at the same time in two different places. Within this vision exists a wonderful concept that Jung called synchronicity. Synchronicities are not mere coincidences or empty random happenstances. They are moments when the outer world reflects exactly what is happening in the inner world. When you felt that intense anxiety out of nowhere yesterday, or when this person heard a specific song that reminded them of you at the exact moment they were trying to forget you, that was not chance, that was a synchronicity. It is the universe orchestrating reality to show you both that the connection is still very much alive. Synchronicity is the language that this great shared mind uses to tell you both that your chapter is not closed. It is as if the universe were conspiring so that this person, no matter how hard they try to run, always encounters signs that lead them back toward you. Now, why did this person feel you yesterday with such volcanic intensity? According to this Jungian vision, thoughts and emotions are real energy, just as real as the electricity that lights up a lamp. When you think of someone with great force, or when you release someone with great determination, you send out a wave through this invisible network. Yesterday, something shifted in your own energy. Perhaps you finally stopped resisting. Perhaps your own personal vibration changed. Or perhaps the sheer accumulation of energy in that shared unconscious simply reached a critical saturation point. This person, connected to you through this invisible and indestructible thread, received the discharge. They had no choice in the matter. Their soul captured the signal long before their logical mind could erect a barrier. Jung would say that what this person is going through right now, this crisis, this reality of doing very badly, is absolutely necessary for their process of individuation, which is to say, for their growth and their ultimate maturity. Often people flee from deep, intense connections because these bonds act as mirrors. You are the mirror in which this person sees their own shadows, their fears of surrender, their hidden insecurities, and also their immense capacity to love, which they are currently trying to deny. By distancing themselves from you, they are actually attempting to flee from themselves, from that deep part of their soul that first awakened when they were with you.